Hey guys, I think if you guys know me, you know that I'm not really good with this. There's no guests to lead the show. I don't know what to talk about. But while I wait for my guest, and I don't know if Mr. Cinelli is going to join us, there might have been some miscommunication in the scheduling. Uh, I thought maybe I'd kill some time, share the screen, go over what I think is happening. He'll either jump in or I can wait for some audience questions. Oh, for the love of God, how do I do this? There we go, baby. That's the format I like. Uh, I did a podcast today with Jason James, and yesterday I did one with JP, my friend JP, John Paul Berg, and I keep bringing up this concept of the Dominion Society. It's not that I'm endorsing them. It's not that I'm vilifying them, but I just see them as a reality. You know, we're looking at the UK right now, specifically Scotland. Elon Musk and Jim, who's the guy who's in the house? Jim Jones? No, I think I'm getting it wrong. But these guys, the house is investigating potential, human rights violations or speech censorship. Um, yeah, I don't know if Dominic's gonna be able to jump in. Um, and then Elon Musk came out and slammed them as well. And this is going to happen, and everyone in Canada is cheering this on. Like, England's got to retain their national identity, but when it's coming to Canada, we kind of have this like repulsive view of it. Like nationalism is bad, and I'm worried that it's going to cause another split on the right. The whole right movement is kind of schizophrenic to begin with. I mean, I ran for the People's Party, and the conservatives, they just destroyed that party with this whole "don't split the vote" argument. So they consolidated those votes into the Conservative Party, and now there's a reckoning because all those people, and I'm looking at you podcasters that spread this thing like "don't split the vote." We got to rally behind the Conservative Party. Well, the Conservative Party is basically the liberal light. There's no difference. So my question is, how do we take back the Liberal Party, the Conservative Party? This is a Freudian slip. I'm going to be at We Unify this September. I want to see, there's a lot of movers and shakers there. And I want to see if they can come up with some sort of coherent argument. I'm also kind of worried about OneBC. The MLA, the MPP MLA, Dallas Brodie. I don't know if she's ready for what's coming her way. I don't want it to be another BC Conservative Party with. Hopefully, she won't be just a coward and a charlatan like John Rustad. But I don't know if I'm going to be ready to support her if she's going to sell out like John Rustad did. Let's see if Dominic is free right now. Apparently, I didn't send him the link. If anybody's got any questions, throw me a lifeline here, buddy. Sweating bullets. What's going on X? See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, we're cheering this on when it's happening in England. How is this any different than when people do it here in Canada with the red ensign? And I'm not even saying I support them. I'm more of a libertarian. I want a republic. I definitely don't want a monarchy. If somebody can give me an argument in that where we're better off not being a part of the U.S., I'd like to hear it. Payman, none of the political parties in Canada can be reformed meaningfully without the crown being removed first. Yeah, I mean, you might be right, Wolf, but like, how do we do that, right? It's almost like a catch-22. So Canadians, nope, Dominic's not in. Sure, I'll just push it to 7 p.m. Yeah, like Canadians are not willing to vote for independent candidates. It's like this story I heard. If you go to someone, knock on someone's door and you say, I want to run to be president of the United States, they're going to be like, get lost. But if you go on CNN and you say, I want to be president of the United States, be like, wow, this guy's serious. So how are you going to do that? How are we going to take it over? You can't remove the crown. You can only leave it. Ergo, reform it at the level of political parties is a sinkhole for time, effort, and money. I'd be curious to hear like what's your, what's your recommendation? Like, how would you proceed? Because as I was saying, it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to do this through independence, like as an independent, because strength in numbers. You mean leaving Canada? Yeah. Um, I'll be honest with you, Wolf. I get the impression that the Alberta independence movement is losing steam. And I first noticed this at the beginning of the 12-Day War, what later became the 12-Day War. It was building up momentum. And then when that Iran-Israel conflict started, it took all the wind out of Alberta's sails for some reason. Like attention just shifted. And they haven't been able to get that momentum back. I saw a confrontation between Jeffrey Rath and Bruce Party, and I thought Bruce Party did a much better job. I think he's more aligned with you and I, but he never. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in Alberta. I'm very concerned with Alberta. MS8 or Miss 8719. I think what's happening in England is orchestrated. I kind of feel that too. I mean, you can see it on the screen right here. Like Elon Musk does this, and it's coordinated with God damn it, what was that guy's name? Jim Jones, the House representative, the congressman. They opened these investigations into England. It seems intentional. The trade deal with EU right before like jettisoning EU. Bringing in all the EU leaders to humiliate them in Washington. This deal with Putin, I think they're getting ready to get rid of England. And I people might not like hearing this, but I think the only hope Canada has is if the US comes in and opens an investigation into Canada, like Mark Carney. I don't. We had our chance. We had the opportunity in the last election to act like grown-ups and take back our country, and we failed. The powers of old have much more power than we think. Yes, Harrison, I agree. And Harrison, I still have your message, and I have to get to it. I will. I'm sorry, I've just been busy. Mr. Maloche, you let the mainstream media die, and you focus on alternative medias. Alberta will experience the same fate as Quebec. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the mainstream media is already pretty much dead, in my opinion. I never use it anyway. But even alternative media, they're just salivating over Pierre Poilievre. I find like there's no solution going forward. And unfortunately, I'm starting to agree with you on Alberta. I hope I'm wrong. Payman, if merely abiding is acceptable, then go ahead and engage in politics under the authority of the crown. But if flourishing is what you desire, leaving is the only option. Leaving through Alberta independence or leaving the country altogether. Man, if you want to be the first president of the independent Republic of Alberta, British Columbia, Canada, you got my vote. My question is, how do we get there? I would love that. Like, I would love Canada to be a republic. I want individual liberty. The family unit, just take like 95% of whatever regulatory control there is in Canada and gift it to the family unit. So you're on your own, go in the wild, make your own decisions. Majority of Canadians don't believe that. Like 10% are, dyed in the wool leftists. You got 80% in the middle centrist. All they want is a little bit faster healthcare. And then on the right, you have people, some of them are like you and me. Some of them are monarchists. Some of them want a super strong nationalist state, which is basically what we have, but just, with a little veneer of Christianity over it. Yeah, Andre, I figured fate. There are solutions. The crown knows they are losing because when the Canadian perestroika will hit Canadians. No, I mean there are solutions, but we have to get our act together. You and I, we both ran for public office. I'm going to the We Unify event in Calgary, and there are some movements. There is some movement happening. Like the gentleman I was supposed to bring on right now, Mr. Cinelli. He's part of this group that's trying to make change in British Columbia. It's really frustrating. Like you one step forward, two steps back, like what happened with the BC Conservative Party that got absolutely hijacked by John Rustad and this whole crew behind them, which I think is just an offshoot of the Federal Conservative Party. And I'll go to Wolf's comment, but I understand Wolf keeps saying this and saying this. He's not wrong. It's all the crown, the crown. If you don't fix the crown, nothing. Yeah, but at least the people are trying to do something. You can't just stay at home and watch Netflix until the crown dies of natural causes. So the people are trying to figure out a way to fix the country, or as Wolf says, get rid of the crown. But we need more competent leadership. Time and effort and powerful allies will boost the effort, but for Alberta independence, it requires masses of people relocating to Alberta by the tens of thousands. Again, that kind of assumes that those people relocating are like you and I. It's like that old trope about somebody who destroys California and then they move to Texas and they turn Texas into California. You need the right type of people. Like, you need the people that got pushed out of Ontario. And you got to have a vetting process. Like, you hold up a picture of a United Empire loyalist just to make sure that the person coming in isn't some traitor. Oh, thanks for the repos. That's why we need to bring together alternative media outlets and not focus on narcissistic bloggers who only care about their business model. Well, yeah, you just described you, me, and Tim on Saturdays, 1:30 p.m. Vancouver time, Cerberus at the Improv. Catch us on YouTube and Rumble. I have a goldfish memory, so I don't know what else exactly has happened in news in the last week. I'm sure. Oh, this guy, James O'Keefe, came here. He kind of humiliated that whole climate lockdown that's still going on. Andre, just because we will one day. Once we get our first dollar, it's only another couple of months before we double that to $2. Yes, you need the right type of people. That is implicit to the statement. And of course, it will take time. But our catch-22 is that time is running out. We're in a political chokehold. Yeah. Yesterday, there was a guest on my podcast, and he said, and this is a scary thing I'm going to repeat, but he said the only hope Canada has is to turn into America's Belarus. So America, and we're headed that way. Like, America has to come in and basically turn Canada into a vassal, or more of a vassal, a lesser vassal, and start running the show. I can't believe, like, it's a national embarrassment what we did during the last election. This elbows up. The only national identity we have in Canada is not American. And that's sort of the lesson I learned from the last election, is the identity crisis that we're going through right now. It wasn't bad enough. Wasn't bad enough when we had these leftists that we had to deal with. Now, what are we? Are we a monarchy? Are we a republic? Do we want to be like a strong federal national state? And we got all these different forces contending for power. There was one other thing yesterday, that in Switzerland, that mob of migrants happened to attack a politician that was white, and it didn't help that he was far right politician. They tried to lynch him, and I was watching the comments on X. It wasn't even like slightly. It wasn't even slightly rational. Like, they were calling them feral creatures, and they're calling them, brown and, disgusting immigrants. So I don't know if that's natural, but that's coming to Canada. So people who think that they can ignore the Dominion society, like, there's thousands, tens of thousands of pissed off, what they're calling heritage Canadians. And unless we get a handle on this and fix our economic situation, it's going to get worse. What do we got here? Albertan independence will give Canadians a safe haven. If it has the momentum, people will move to support. Yeah. I mean, if it works, yeah. But just today, there was a release where Daniel Smith came out and he identified the new digital ID system in Alberta. And this is sort of the argument Bruce Party has made, is, it would be a complete disaster if Alberta separated and then just became Canada again. So, like, all of the deep state, or we call it the administrative state, they just replicated it in Alberta. What are we at? 14 and a half minutes. I can't believe I rambled for 14 and a half minutes. It's the Dominion Society. I'm keeping an eye on these guys. How quickly they grow their party will be an indicator of what's going to happen in politics come next year. Here's the thing. The Dominion Society is as feral in a different dimension as that mob of in-group attackers going wild on the street. Organizations like the Dominion Society have better camouflage. I understand what you're trying to say. The people who started the party, and I get that argument. I like to look at these things objectively. Like, why are people in Canada supporting the Dominion Society, which I think is economic? Like, they don't have the ability to work. Their future's been taken from them, and they see all of these people coming in that don't look like him, and that they never voted for all of this immigration. So I just think it would be a mistake to write them off. If an actual leader comes along, they have to address this and say, this is our vision for the future. This is how we're going to reform Canada together peacefully, like adults in the room. Otherwise, the Dominion Society, I watched some of the podcasters attacking the Dominion Society, and I'm like, you're just feeding into their membership. Like, calling them names is not going to make them go away. You have to figure out what it is what's their business model, and you attack the business model. I think that's how you, if you, I'm not taking sides one way or the other, but if you want to do it, go that way. I like this Tom Luongo guy. He's got some interesting insights. Mr. Levine is running for public office. Buck, 336 out of almost 100,000 physicians in Canada conduct the majority of Canada's MAID procedures. That's a minority. I didn't know that. What are the odds that the government of Canada's eugenics program is facilitated by a handful of sociopaths? I could be. There's no transparency. But it's the goddamn media. They go in, they brainwash people, and they say it's an act of compassion. What's the phrase they're using? Dying with dignity. I talked to a lot of elderly during the election, and they were all on board with MAID. And they even asked me if I would support Super MAID. I don't know what it's called, but it's like some sort of MAID where, I don't know, you wear the MAID bracelet, and if you're asleep when they catch you, they can kill you without asking you for your permission or consent. So it's a bigger problem than people think. Dude. I don't understand why Pierre Poilievre is still there. They should have a leadership review. The deep state squirmed its way into the United States. To those who get Albertan independence, keep it once you get it. Yeah. Going back to what Wolf said, when he said, like, time is running out. Canada's always 10 years behind the US and like clockwork and all things. So if the US got a populist, and I don't want to get into whether Trump is good or bad, but if they got a populist president in last year, that means we have 9 years to go till we can get a populist prime minister. And I'm using the word populist loosely. I don't know if we have 9 years. Like that Mark Carney, it feels like he's escalating things so he can just, close the chapter on Canada come December. People are noticing to solve a problem, you need to correct diagnosis first. I like Alex Grainer as well. I'm starting to come to this realization. I know Andre Milosh kind of sees things this way, same possibly with Wolf. This whole British imperial system, which is what we're trying to extricate ourselves from, where the Americans are. But how do you explain this to the Canadian public? How does this like anti-Trump crap make it into my my feed? Not that I'm 100% pro-Trump, but I get this stuff pops into Instagram as well. What does this guy do? He takes a hat from the kid. These are simpler times before the internet. This guy's a total loser. Anything else up here? Tommy Robinson too. I think this is in regards to what's in England being orchestrated. Yeah, I don't know Tommy Robinson, so I don't follow him. I know a lot of people don't trust him at all. Here's more stuff. There was that incident where the Sikh driver killed 2 or 3 people and performing an illegal U-turn, and then, as if that wasn't bad enough, they started an online petition to commute a sentence or lessen it, which is kind of, you don't want to do that if you're a guest in someone's country. And this is Pleb Reporter. Let's see if it's a balanced comment or not. Indian newcomer records himself breaking the law to show off to his followers on Instagram. This man was dumb enough to record himself shooting assault rifles in a Canadian park. Should he be deported for this? Well, it's not the most, biased thing I've ever heard, but the racial tensions, it's getting very real in Canada. And yeah, this is again what I'm trying to say. Like, you need to address this. You can't just expect the people to magically act in a mature manner. You need leadership to say, no, this is our fault in some ways. We brought all of these people in, these millions of people, against the wishes of our own citizenry. But they'll never do that. They'll just sit back. They'll wait for, Canadians, natural born Canadians, to say something racist, and then they'll jump in with anti-hate. Anyway, I think this has gone on for 15, 16 minutes longer than it should have. You guys enjoy your weekend, and I'll try to get Mr. Cinelli on some other time. Take care.